Last class we saw data annotations and routing and the other things. Okay, so today we are going to see about the state management, how it happens in MVC. Okay, the state management is very important in MVC, whereas ASP.NET the state management is in different ways. One is client side, another is server side. Client side, we are having view state, query strings, hidden fields, cookies. Okay, these are client side state management techniques. Server side, caching, session. Okay, these are server side state management techniques in ASP.NET. Whereas we come to MVC, the same things are there. Only one thing is missing, that is view state. So, as we discussed earlier also in ASP.NET classes, because of view state stores all the controls information, like the control, whatever user enters the data into a text box, or he selects a value from drop down, whatever values are there, all the values will be stored in the view state during post back, and then the same values will be binded during page load, page rendering to the browser. All the values will be rebinded to the actual controls. Okay, in this process we are storing all the control values in view state, and while posting it is posting all the data, and while getting it is getting entire data back. So what is the issue here? So unnecessarily the data will be saved for all the server controls on view state. If you take a grid view data also will be saved in view state. That's a problem. So grid view may have n number of records. So each record is of 1 KB, and if the records in a grid view are 1 lakh, so the entire grid view information will be stored in view state. It may be around some 10 MB. Okay, so this much information to load on a slow networks, it is very a problem, and even network bandwidth also it consumes more. Okay, so that's why view state, whenever people ask for how can you improve your ASP.NET application performance, very few answers what we tell is, first is view state. So the usage of view state have to be reduced, and the second one is the usage of server controls has to be reduced. Okay, we have to use as much as HTML and JavaScript to control the validations as well as the page rendering, so that your page will be performed very fast. Okay, so these are the answers. View state we have to use as much as we require. Okay, so as we require, not for all the things. In ASP.NET by default, for all the server controls view state is enabled, means for all the server controls the data will be saved into view state. That's the first problem. And then server controls, so server controls, they will be saved in they will be written in ASPX syntax, whereas during page load, page rendering, all the server side scripting will be converted to normal HTML, which is an extra burden to your your ASP.NET server. So to reduce all these things, MVC MVC stopped using this view state. There is no concept of view state in MVC. Okay, and then there is no concept of server controls. We have helpers in MVC for our use to render some controls and other things. Okay, so here these are the HTML helpers. Okay, we have few types of helpers are there. Okay, different types. Inline HTML helpers. Okay, so inline HTML helper means the at the rate symbol we use, and then the tags, the tag values we can print something like this. If you see here, at the rate helper listing items, and then for each item, so inline, so along with your HTML code you can write your C# code, that is called inline HTML helpers. Okay, and then have built-in HTML helper. So these HTML helpers are used, just a second guys. So these HTML helpers are very useful to render HTML controls on your page. So HTML, the support for HTML5 and MEC is there. Okay, so to render a text box you can use at the rate HTML dot text box. Normal, like your server controls, here HTML helpers are there. These are very fast in rendering. So at the rate HTML dot text box, the first one you can give the ID of the text box, and second one is the value, the default value, whatever you want to assign. So and then text area, password, hidden field, checkbox, radio button list, drop down list, list box. Okay, like this many elements are there. Okay, these are normal normal controls. Okay, there is much difference between this table and next slide table. Okay, these are normal standard HTML helpers, and we have strongly typed HTML helpers. So the difference between strongly typed and the normal HTML helpers is those helpers are used to render some text box like that, but here the text boxes are binded to your model properties. Okay, here we are saying at the rate HTML dot text box for. As I told earlier, your views can be binded to a model. Okay, any model, so this entire view will be driven by that model. So that model can be any object that is on your application. So if you take a person object, that person object will be taken from, okay, that person object if you pass to view, your view will be rendered by at the rate you can use these HTML helpers so that these controls will hold the values and two-way binding. I told you two-way binding. So that model values will be populated in these controls. Whenever these control values are edited, the values will be binded back to the model. Okay. So any confusion or you got clear these two? This is normal HTML helper and this is strongly typed. So normal means it's just to render some control onto your page, but this strongly typed, it not only renders a value onto the page but also it binds with that model you are passing to a model you defined on your page. That's the difference. Any doubts? Okay, fine. Now, so these are other controls templated. These helpers figure out what HTML elements are required to render based on properties of your model. Okay. This templated means display, display for, edit, editor for. Okay. So these, if you use editor for, these are templated. Templated means these are common helpers, but what they do is they use the properties or attributes you used for that controls. Based on that, this editor display for, it displays the name of that control, okay, what the field name, and then editor, this one will edit the text, it will create a control. This is a templated control means this can be used for anything. So template editor for means based on the property type it will render the control according to your needs. Okay, if you want to declare your custom control, what you can do is you can write a static class with custom helpers, and then inside that you can whatever the methods you can write like this, and you can return some HTML that is your custom helper. Anything you need apart from these text boxes and the other things, if you want your own control you can write like this. So that is a submit button you can write, and then HTML helper expression. Okay, default MVC is read only. So something like this you can write, but this is very minimal. The custom helper classes required because people used to write all in HTML. Even they don't use HTML helpers in real time. They use very less because again these helpers they have to be converted to HTML on the server side. Then only the result will be HTML, JavaScript and CSS so that the browser can understand. So again there is a processing of these HTML helpers so that people won't use these HTML helpers very much. Okay, so this is HTML helpers. Then so here you can see display name for this model is binded automatically. Okay, this is index. If you see edit, so label for, editor for, editor for, it will automatically binds to this first name, and then it will render the respective control for this first name. Respective control means that is a text box. Okay, like this the HTML helpers are very helpful in MVC. So the state how it maintains is by using three objects in MVC. These are viewBag, viewData and tempData. So viewBag is nothing but a dynamic type is there in MVC from 4.0 framework, .NET introduced a dynamic object. I already discussed with you. So in JavaScript, we have a variable. Okay, you can declare objects. Those objects, actually a plain object. Those objects doesn't have a property already predefined. Means any class we declare, that class will have the properties normally. Okay, so if I take this student model, in this I have all the properties in ID, first name, last name, class, and branch. Okay, these are properties predefined in my class. What if I want to add a new property that is not existing in this class? Okay, so this is student model. I created an object for this. Okay, on page load index. In this page, what I'm going to do is student model. Okay, model dot, it gives me only age, branch, class, first name, last name. Okay, ID. So if I want to add his mobile number, it is not there, right? So what it is saying, MEC samples model dot student model does not contain a definition for mobile number. So it says mobile number is not there. So how I can include this number on runtime, this property, how I can assign to this object. Okay, so dynamic objects is a concept introduced in SQL, sorry, the .NET Framework 4.0. Okay, in .NET 4.0 they introduced dynamic objects. So that is dynamic keyword. You give whatever you want and then new dynamo. Okay, so have to use some dynamic namespace and then some dynamo is there. Okay, this, okay, you forget about this. So viewBag is a dynamic object type, so that is available by default in your controllers and it can be accessed directly by viewBag. Okay, so whatever name you give, viewBag dot mobile number, it accepts. Okay, so even you can give your name. So this viewBag is a dynamic data type and the properties inside this, whatever you give, it will take automatically, and the data type also it will take automatically. So mobile I have given, even if you want to give MVC class, it is MVC class. Okay, what it will do is, okay, state management. So I can use something like this and I can access this viewBag dot today's MVC class in my view. Okay, this is my view. Here this is already viewBag dot title we are giving. So this one you can modify to viewBag dot whatever I have given. So this one I can pass something like this. So whatever I create in my controller, not student models here. So view back that the property whatever I want I can give, and the value also I can give at the runtime. The data type of this property will be resolved based on what value we assign to that property. And this dynamic object type, it gives you a handle to add the properties you required at runtime. Okay, that's the advantage of this view bag. Okay, and this is dynamic type. This if you see in JavaScript also, this is inspired by JavaScript. Actually JavaScript also, you do not need to have any properties at the beginning. So at the runtime you can give some property like this and you can assign values. At the runtime that type of data will be resolved, that property data type will be resolved and it will be used across your application. So based on that, this C Sharp also supports dynamic objects from 4.0. Okay, if we run this page we can see today's MVC class. So this is page title, and here also you can take. So you can see state management, it came here. Okay, that's the advantage of viewback, and you can give whatever value. So it can be objects, a list of objects you can use. Okay, or any object, you assign any object to this property. At the time of runtime, the data type of this property will be resolved based on the value you are assigning. And same how you are writing here, view back dot the property name, the same property you can access in your view like this. Okay, at the rate viewback dot today's, okay, MVC class, like this whatever property you give you can use that. And at the rate is a Razor engine syntax, and you can write all the C sharp code by putting that. So if you have multi-level statements, multiple statements, you just put at the rate this and then curly brackets. Inside that you write all your code. Even for each loop is there, at the rate for each loop item, and then you can write. So this is inline scripting. So what you can do is side by side. So one line is Razor, one line is normal HTML, like this. You can write whatever way you are comfortable. Okay, there is no restriction that you have to follow this particular syntax. So first you have to write Razor, then you have to write HTML, or HTML and then your Razor. Not like that. You can write both mixed. Okay, at the runtime your parser will resolve all this and render the respective HTML to the client browser. Okay, so view bag is one, and the scope means where you can access, where you can declare and where you can access, where else you cannot access. Okay, so the scope is this view bag can be declared in your controller action method. Okay, this property viewbag is there in your controller, but once you assign this property in your today's MVC class, okay, so this property can be accessed only in this view, only in this view. Apart from this, if you try to access in any other view or any other controller, okay, so controller also if you want to access, it cannot be accessed only one way. It won't get post back to your server also, like your view state, how it pass all the data inside it to the server. View back won't pass any data back to controller, okay, any data back to the server. It only passes the data whichever you assigned in your controller action method. This will be passed to your view, and it won't be passed back to the server, or it won't be passed to any other view or controller. Okay, this is only one way. Okay, and if you try to access, this is an index. Okay, if you try to access the same in your HTML, this one another view, you cannot. So this is already there, I'm trying to access there, so it is not there. Okay, the value is not there. Okay, and if you come to only, this is one way. Okay, that is view back. It is a dynamic type. The properties whatever you assign, whatever you declare, and you assign the values at the time of runtime, it will be the type of the data will be resolved, and you can access the view back data in the respective view only, no other places. That's the view back. And then we have view data. The second one is view data. View data is same like view bag only. The scope of view data also, this is only one way. You cannot access from another views. This is only accessible in a controller action method and its respective view only. But this is a key value pair. Key value pair means, so view data, and you have to give some key here. So a string key you have to give. Okay, the key can be anything and the value can be anything. Okay, it can be a custom object or a list of objects or a simple string or an integer value like this. Okay, I am view back data. So you can render that here at the rate view data. These two are already available for your controls, and you need to cast this. Casting means you need to convert the type of the data in that view bag, whereas sorry, view data, whereas in view bag that is not required. The data type already resolves in runtime, but view data, it stores everything into key value, key and object format, so that it cannot be directly used. You need to typecasting, what type of object you are passing to view data, you have to convert to the same object in views. Here view data I am converting to string. Okay, here you can see I am view back data. The scope of this one also same, it cannot be accessible from other views. Okay, so view bag and view data, the difference is view bag is a dynamic object type. You can create properties dynamically and you can assign any type of data to it. In the view, you need not to cast the value of that view back property. It supports all the things. Whereas view data is a key value pair and it supports, you can assign any value, any type of data value to it. But in the view, you have to convert to the main object what you assign, the data type of the object what you assign in the controller, and both having the scope between that controller action method and their respective view. Apart from that, you cannot access. Okay, so the last one is temp data. This temp data is also a dictionary derived from temp data dictionary class and stored in short lives sessions, and it is string key and an object value. It is just like your view data only, but the scope of this temp data is different. So this means only one page to another page. This also works with 302 and 303 redirects because it's in the HTTP request. So from one page to another page, when you are moving, that time only that this temp data can be accessed. Okay, so the stem data from one page to another page means one controller action method to another controller action method. When you are moving, that time you can access this temp data information. Okay, so that we'll see an example. So here we are redirect to action means it will redirect to the action you defined here. Okay, before that, what I am going to do is a temp data from action method equal to and from student edit save action. Okay, and then this is the index, so this can be accessed here. This is also we need to convert to this. So this is how I have created. So initially there won't be the data, so we need to check whether temp data has this key or not. This is simple dictionary. Okay, simple C# dictionary. You just check this is there or not. Temp data not available. So temp data is not available. So I'm editing this. Easy practice. Save. Now you can see I am from student edit save action. Okay. If you go back to some details page and come back, you cannot get this value because the scope is only for one action to another action. Okay. Now if I come to back to list, temp data not available. So this is how these three objects supports the state management in MVC. View bag and view data, the scope of those objects is to the controller action method to their respective views. And whereas temp data from one controller action method to another controller action method. And the data saves in short lived sessions for temp data. Okay, so this is the main difference between these three objects, and this is an interview question. Okay, any doubts on this? Or you guys are clear with this? Okay, I hope you guys are clear. This is view bag, view data, and temp data. So these HTML helpers also an interview question. So what are strongly typed helpers and normal helpers? Normal helpers, they are used only to render the basic HTML controls to your view, whereas strongly typed, they provide two-way binding from your model to your controls HTML elements. So whatever the value in model will be assigned to the HTML controls on page load, and the values whatever you modify or you enter input on the HTML elements, they will be binded back to the model. On page submit, the model will be built based on the properties you assign to the HTML controls, and that model will be posted to your controller action method. Okay, so mainly this MVC application, it entirely works on HTTP protocol. HTTP means Hypertext Markup Language. hypertext transfer hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, so this HTTP has basically, it supports few methods that I already told you: get, put, post, delete, and trace. Okay, so forget about those things. Get, put, post, delete, these four are the very important methods your MVC uses. So for each thing we will have their respective methods. Okay, for each controller they supports all these methods. By default, if you don't mention any attribute on top of your uh, action method, these are taken considered as get methods. Okay, we have many action methods in this, but by default if you don't mention an attribute like this, it is get method. So this action supports get method. If you put something like this, it supports post method. So whatever method you put, that respective method will be taken care. So if you see, we have a create with HTTP post and a create method with get. So why these two variants means, one is to render your view. So first time when you request your view, it will load entire view with the default values on that page. So once you modify the values in that view, and if you want to submit, that time the submit will be taken from the same view name with the model built and submitted to this. That's why HTTP post with the same method name and it has a model parameter. Okay, so this is why we have two methods here. Okay, one is for to render your view, another is once the view is submitted, that respective data will be sent to this method. Okay, like that we have edit and then delete is there. So post delete, once you confirm, it will be deleted. Like that we have methods. So this is very important. All this MVC, it supports basic HTTP methods, all the HTTP methods. Okay, even if we go to web API, the syntax and everything will be same. So it is very important to remember. Okay, that is helper classes. Okay, next we have filters in MVC. So these filters allows us to inject extra logic into MVC framework request processing. So request processing means whenever you are requesting a view, so that time the view will be the request lifecycle we have seen already. So that request lifecycle, so here HTTP handler, controller, factory controller, and now this lavender color you can see action invoker, model binders, authentication filters, authorization filters, action filters. Okay, different filters are there. So these filters will validate your request. Okay. So what kind of filters available in MVC? We have authentication filter. So if you want, you can define or you can write your own filter for this, or else if you want, you can use the predefined filters available in MVC. So a filter, there are basically 5 filter types. One is authentication filter, authorization filter, action filter, result filter, and exception filter. Authentication filter, before you are calling any view, what it does is it will validate whether the request coming from a valid user. How it validates means, so you have to log in. That login will be maintained by your MVC application, so that it checks whether you logged in or not. So the the authentication and authorization, the same way how we discussed in ASP.NET, the same things you can use it here. Okay, but authorization filter will check whether the user logged in or not. Main purpose is for that. Authentication filter. Authorization filter is so the logged in user can access this or not. So authentication filter, what it does is, so it validates your identity, whether the user is valid user or not. But the authorization filter is whether the user can access, he has the permissions to execute this view or not. It checks by authorization filter. Action filter is okay. So action filter is mainly the action, what kind of action you are going to take. So what it will return. Okay. So for that purpose, the action filter is used. So all these first four runs, the first three runs before and so sorry, first two runs before your action executes. Action filter, it executes before and after your action. Action means the method inside the controller executes. and result filter. Okay, this result filter, this executes before and after your action executes, but exception filter runs only if another filter, the action method or the action results throw an exception. Okay, if any exception happens in our method, controller method, that time this exception filter executes. Result filter and action filters, these two executes before and after your action method execution. Authentication and authorization, these filters execute before your action executes. Okay, action method executes. These are mainly for authentication and authorization. Action and result filter, so these are mainly, no need to define these on your actions, by default it will take care. So action filter means what kind of action you are going to execute and what kind of view. So you are returning a view or an object, so that will be taken care by your result filter. Okay, these are the filters. If you want to write your own filter, what you can do is, these are the interfaces available. Okay, by using this you can write your own filter attribute. Okay, so I will show one sample example for this. These filters are very useful, and how you can access these filters on your page means MEC applications and web API. These two are attribute based. Okay, attribute based means, so everything you keep in square brackets and mention some attribute name so that the respective class will be executed. Okay, that is attribute based. So this application what I am opening is our live example we are working on currently in our company. We are developing this application. So these are filters. So here you can see admin access is one filter, so action filter attribute, and then we are checking inside this. So what you can do is the logged in username, and we are checking the session, so sessions and everything we can use as it is. And if he is not an admin, what we are doing is we are just returning the user from this, so he is not he doesn't have access to view this filter, view this page. Okay, if the logged in employee is not an admin, he cannot see the page. So how we are using this is, where it is used. So here we created many filters to restrict the access to the people. The respective people only can access the pages. Okay, no one else can access this. So you can see admin access and this entire controller, and inside the methods of this controller whatever are there, so this can be accessed by only the people who is having admin role. Okay, so whoever having admin role, they can only access this control. So like this we can filter. So action filter attribute, action filter, so only finance people can access. Okay, and then GOC managers. Okay, these are different roles. Those are defined in our system so that only these people can access the resources. Resources means the views, whatever are there. Okay, like that you can define your filters, authorization filters and action filters, result filters, many things like that. Okay, so you can see here authorize filter and then authentication filter. You can directly put it, means authenticate authorization. If you put whether the user is logged in or not, and then the role of this particular logged in employee allows to access this view or not, all these things will be validated by authorize filter, the sample. So if you want to apply multiple filters, you can do like this. So authorize roles trader, something like this. If you apply this at the controller level, it will be applied to all the action methods inside it. Okay, you can apply multiple filters to your action or your controller level. Okay, so using authentication filters, what you can do is this interface supports. If you want your own custom authentication, what you can do is iAuthentication filter, you just put it and you derive your class from iAuthentication filter, and then it has to be implemented on authentication challenge. These two methods you have to implement on your. Yes, Indra, tell me.
Do we need to mention the authorized persons in the filter?
No, no. Persons you cannot mention.
So
Only
how can we say that how it works the filter?
see.
How the program knows the authorized persons to access that?
Yeah. So this one mainly you are giving roles. Okay.
Okay.
This role will define whether this user has access to it or not. Okay. So in any web application, we divide the users into groups. Okay, so the groups in any company or if your college you can take, so there will be a principal, there will be a dean and your professors, lecturers, tutors. Okay, how you are calling them as a tutors, they are tutors group and professors group. So in in applications, how we will divide is we will give them some role.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a professor. So professor role. So professor, what he can do? He can access all the students' information who are mapped to his subjects. Okay, who are subscribed to his subjects, and then their progress over the time, and even he can decide the question papers and few things which are related to his profession. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
your college website, it supports many things, but as a student you cannot access all the pages. Those pages will be restricted for you. Same for your friends also. That's not depends on your name. That depends on your role. The role will be given in the applications. So what
Okay.
role we are giving, based on that role we are restricting the page level access or view level access. not for a particular person.
Mm-hmm.
So that we call as role. So for all students, we will give some student role. For all professors, we will give professor role. Like that, different groups, we will make it as a we will make a name and we call it as a group. And this group of people can access this set of pages. That's it. Not more than that. If they want access, their role has to be extended to access those screens also. Okay. So
Okay.
if you see here, we already defined something. So check GOC access. So in sessions, we are keeping the currently logged in employee information and we are passing here. Here we are checking all whether he is a GOC manager or not. So his role you can check here or even finance, not so this one, if you see, is admin logged in? So who logged in? So is admin logged in means there may be multiple admins, but how we are checking this? Based on their role. Okay.
Okay.
At the time of login, what we are doing is we are checking his role and we are setting some properties. Based on those properties, we are restricting the access to a particular view. Okay, at the time of the logged in, all the things will be loaded, the user level, his roles, his permissions, and what he can access, all the things will be taken, and we keep it in a session or a consistent storage. From there we will refer all this and we will restrict at the view level. Okay, got it?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Okay,
Can I see all these programs in my laptop? And
sorry.
I mean, can you step back
Yeah,
these programs?
this program.
These programs on the right side. So can I see in my laptop all these all programs? Or these are default or developed?
This is already I am working on. This is live project.
Okay.
I
Okay.
cannot.
These are your programs, right?
Yeah, this is my
Okay.
office programs. Okay, I cannot share.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I thought these are default.
No, no, not default. So
Okay,
default,
okay.
what we created here. So we should have a filter. So this is not here. So filter config is here. So you can write your own.
Okay.
Okay.
So those programs all you working on, right?
Yeah, those programs I am working on currently. My company.
Mhm.
Okay, these are filters. So this way you can define I action filter, I authorization filter. So the syntax is these interfaces are already available in your MVC. If you want to write your own filter, what you have to do is you have to derive a class, a custom class from this interface, and you have to implement these unauthorized. So these methods you have to implement, and then you can validate. So if the user is valid user, then you can allow him access. Otherwise, what I am doing here is HTTP not found result. If the admin is not logged in, okay, so he tried, the logged in employee is not an admin, and if he tries to access this page, particular page, okay, what we are doing is we are not allowing them to access this view. Instead of that, we are throwing some error, okay, result HTTP not found result. So instead of that view, it shows some message, the page cannot be found. Means the other user, whoever is not an admin, they will see that there is no such page on this web application. Okay, so to explain this, I have admin privilege as a developer for this application. That's why I cannot show this. Okay, so otherwise I will try one more thing. Connect to, will try to connect and I will see. Okay, I got connected. Now I'm running this application. So this is access. Okay, just I'm copying this URL. I'm trying to log in with some other employee. So this functionality implemented according to our needs on this MVC application. Okay, so don't expect that it supports by default by MVC. Okay, this login as employee and other things. So this is some other employee, whoever. I am logging in as that employee. So I am pasting this URL. It comes because my login is there. What to do? So as mine is admin, so I am able to log in. I am able to see all these pages. Okay, so this is how you can restrict the page level access. Because I have admin privileges, I am able to see, I am able to log in with any other employee like that. Okay, so that example we will see later otherwise. Okay, so these are the filters, main filters in your MVC application. Okay, so you can use filters like that: authentication, authorization, action, and result filters. Are any more doubts on these filters? Today's class, any doubts? Or you guys are good?
As for now, okay.
Okay. So this is mainly attribute based programming. Everything will be mentioned in attributes, and even that authentication, authorization, even the routes, and even the methods, HTTP post or other things, even data annotations, everything defines in your attributes, and those attributes will derive your that controls your. Okay. So entity framework code first approach we see. Tomorrow we will see the model database first approach.
I have a, I have a general question.
Okay.
Uh, could you please tell me which project are you working on?
Those are we cannot tell those things because that's our company project, and this video I am going to put in YouTube, right? It will be a problem for me.
Okay. Uh, so at least on what methods are you using?
What?
Like you're currently working on with .NET, right?
Yes.
So, uh, 1 second.
Yeah, tell me. So,
Mm,
so we
one
use
second.
MVC SQL Server, okay, and the latest
Let me
framework
see.
we are using. That's what jQuery, CSS3. This is the technology stack we are using.
jQuery and
HTML5, CSS3.
okay, or are the latest versions?
Yeah, everything is latest.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Any more doubts?
So the tool, which tool are you using?
That is Visual Studio only, no?
Okay, okay. So you're not supposed to tell your project name.
Yeah, because that will be a problem for me. This one I am putting in live. There are my friends in YouTube groups. Okay, so it's from my company. If this information leaks, so teaching is not a problem.